The first scream he heard wasn't his daughter's. It came from the penthouse above. Noah Reeves, a single dad juggling 3 night jobs and a stubborn hope for a better life, had never planned to set foot inside the private elevator of the city's youngest and most intimidating billionaire, Aurora Hale. But when the elevator malfunctioned and shot upward instead of down, he found himself stumbling straight into a world he didn't belong to. And then, the doors slid open. Aurora Hale stood in front of him, mid-change, her jacket half off, her hair unpinned from its usual icy perfection. For a heartbeat, they stared at each other, both frozen by shock. He spun around instantly, shielding his eyes. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, the elevator, it's broken, I swear I didn't. But instead of anger, instead of humiliation, instead of ordering security to throw him out, Aurora said something that stunned him even more than the sight he'd accidentally walked into. No. Please don't leave. I actually need your help. Noah turned slowly, confused. Aurora Hale was known for her coldness, her empire, her perfect life. Why would she need him, a janitor, a single parent, a man barely surviving? Her voice trembled, almost too soft to hear. Someone stole the only memento I have of my mother. I don't trust anyone on my staff. But I trust you. They had spoken only twice before, brief, polite exchanges when he cleaned her floor late at night. She never smiled. She never slowed down. But apparently, she noticed him more than he thought. The challenge. Noah didn't want to get involved. He had a sick daughter at home, hospital bills piling up, and no time to play detective for a billionaire. But when Aurora lowered her eyes and whispered, "It's the last thing I have left of her," something inside him softened. Grief recognizes grief. Noah had lost his wife 3 years earlier. He knew what it was like to cling to one final memory. So he agreed. Their journey begins. Aurora let him into her private office, a place no one, not even senior staff, had entered without permission. She explained the theft. A golden locket, containing the only photo of her and her mother. It vanished after a recent investor event. Together, they reviewed camera footage, questioned suspicious employees, and chased clues across the vast Hale Tower. The more time they spent together, the more Noah realized the world had judged Aurora wrong. Behind her icy exterior lived a woman drowning in loneliness. Behind her wealth lived a hunger for connection. Behind her distance lived a heart that had forgotten how to trust. And Aurora, observing Noah's gentle patience, his dedication to his daughter, and the exhaustion in his eyes, began seeing him not as a janitor, but as the kindest man she had ever met. The second challenge. Just when they came close to identifying the thief, a jealous executive assistant, they hit a new problem. Aurora discovered Noah was about to be fired. Budget cuts. Outsourcing. A corporate wave she hadn't been told about. When she confronted her board, they reminded her that a billionaire shouldn't concern herself with a single dad's job. She walked out of the meeting. Furious. Shaking. For the first time in years, Aurora felt powerless in her own company. And Noah, instead of thanking her or begging her to save him, simply said, "It's okay. I'll find another job. But you can't lose yourself just to help me." No one had ever told Aurora something like that. People always wanted something from her. But he wanted nothing except her peace. The turning point. Late that night, they finally cornered the assistant, who confessed to stealing the locket out of envy, planning to sell it to a collector overseas. Aurora retrieved the locket with shaking hands. Noah watched her silently, giving her the space to feel what she needed to feel. When she finally looked up, her eyes were filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't just help me find this. You helped me find something else too." "What's that?" he asked softly. "Myself." The unexpected moment. Before he could respond, they both turned toward a small voice. "Daddy." It was Lily, Noah's daughter, standing in the doorway, holding her stuffed bunny. Her babysitter, panicked by a sudden asthma attack Lily had suffered, had brought her straight to Noah's workplace. Aurora rushed forward, kneeling beside the little girl. "You're Lily," she said gently. "Your daddy talks about you all the time." Lily blinked in surprise. "He does?" Aurora smiled, a real, warm smile Noah had never seen before. He says you're the bravest girl in the world. Lily giggled and hugged her. Aurora froze, then melted. The final challenge. When the medical bills arrived days later, Noah was crushed. He couldn't afford Lily's new treatment. He didn't tell Aurora, he refused to burden her. But she found out anyway. She showed up at his small apartment, in jeans and a knitted sweater instead of her usual power suits, holding a folder in her hand. "Noah," she said softly, "I want to help. I can't accept charity." "It's not charity," she insisted. "It's gratitude. And something else I can't keep pretending I don't feel." He looked at her, stunned. Aurora stepped closer, her voice trembling. "What you saw that day, me changing, was embarrassing. But what came after, changed me. Let me be there for you. For Lily. For all the moments you don't have to face alone anymore." Noah's eyes burned with emotion. "Are you sure?" he whispered. "I've never been more sure of anything." The ending, an inspiring message. Months later, Noah stood beside Aurora as she took the stage to announce a new foundation, one dedicated to helping single parents with medical and financial struggles. And in the front row, little Lily held Aurora's hand as if she had been waiting her whole life for it. What began with an accidental moment turned into a bond built on trust, vulnerability, and unexpected love. Because sometimes, the people who walk into your life by mistake end up being the ones who save you. Aurora Hale had been called many things in her life: cold, distant, untouchable. But ever since Noah and Lily walked into her world, something inside her refused to go back to the person she used to be. And that terrified her. Because changing herself was one thing. Changing her heart was another. Aurora's hidden fear. 3 weeks had passed since the night she held Lily's trembling hand. 3 weeks since she offered Noah help he didn't want to accept, and yet desperately needed. She waited for him to call. He never did. Aurora paced across her penthouse floor each night, the city lights glittering beneath her feet. Her assistant would have gasped if she saw the billionaire doing something as human as pacing in nervous circles. "He's avoiding me," Aurora murmured to herself. And it hurt more than she expected. Noah's quiet struggle. Across town, in a tiny apartment he tried so hard to make warm and safe, Noah sat by Lily's bedside, brushing her hair as she slept. The new treatment was working, but barely. He had taken a loan with interest so high it felt like a noose around his neck. He worked until his hands ached. He skipped meals. He sent out job applications to companies that rejected him before he could even finish the online forms. Every time he thought of Aurora's offer, her voice trembling as she promised to help, he felt something sharp twist in his chest. Accepting help meant accepting feelings. And feelings led to complications he wasn't ready for. "I can't pull her into my mess," he whispered into the darkness. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't avoiding her because of pride. He was avoiding her because he was falling for her. Their unexpected reunion. Aurora finally reached her breaking point on a stormy Friday night. "Noah Reeves," she muttered, snatching her car keys. "You can ignore my calls, but you cannot ignore me." She drove across the city, rain hammering against her windshield. When she reached Noah's building, she hesitated only for a second before climbing the stairs to his floor. She knocked softly. The door opened, and she froze. Noah stood there, shirt sleeves rolled up, exhaustion heavy under his eyes, but still managing to look like the strongest man she had ever known. "Aurora," he said, shocked. "What are you doing here?" She swallowed hard. "You tell me." The heart-to-heart. He let her inside reluctantly. Lily, awake from the storm, rushed toward Aurora and hugged her tightly. "You came," she said, smiling with the innocence only children possess. Aurora felt her heart twist. When Noah put Lily back to bed, Aurora noticed the pile of medical papers on the table, the unpaid bills, the overdue notices. It shattered her. "Noah," she whispered, "why didn't you tell me?" He sighed heavily. "Because it's not your problem." "Then make me part of the problem," she said, stepping closer. "I want to help. Not because you're a charity case, but because your pain matters to me." Noah's breath caught. "Aurora. I don't want to be someone you feel sorry for." She shook her head fiercely. I don't feel sorry for you. I admire you. She stopped herself. But Noah heard the word she almost said. He stepped back, overwhelmed. Aurora, this is dangerous. For who? She whispered. For both of us. You're a billionaire. I'm a janitor between jobs. Our worlds don't mix. Aurora took another step forward, determination blazing in her eyes. Then let's rewrite the rules. The night that changed everything. Before Noah could respond, Lily cried out in her sleep, struggling to breathe. The asthma attack hit fast, sharper than any before. Noah panicked, searching for the inhaler, but the medicine was finished. Aurora didn't hesitate. Get your coat, she ordered. I'll drive. Noah carried Lily down the stairs, and Aurora drove through the storm like lightning. Within minutes, they reached the emergency clinic. Aurora held Noah's hand as the doctors treated Lily. When the doctor finally said, "She's stable," Noah exhaled a breath he didn't know he had been holding. Aurora, standing beside him, trembled with relief. "She means so much to you," Aurora whispered. "She's all I have," Noah replied. Aurora looked at him with an expression he had never seen before, not pity, not curiosity. But something deeper. Something undeniable. A promise that shocked him. When they returned to the apartment, Aurora surprised him again. She knelt beside Lily's bed and gently brushed a strand of hair from the little girl's forehead. Then she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. "I promise. I'll make sure your family never has to struggle alone again." Noah froze. "Aurora, what are you saying?" She stood slowly, her eyes shining. "I'm saying that I care, Noah. More than I ever planned to. And I'm not walking away." His heart beat so hard it almost hurt. "Aurora, you don't know what you're getting yourself into." She smiled softly. "Maybe not. But I know what I want." "And what's that?" he asked, barely breathing. Aurora stepped closer, their faces inches apart. "You." Chapter 2 ends with new tension brewing. Neither of them kissed. Neither of them moved. But the air between them changed, charged, tender, terrifying. Because wanting someone is easy. Choosing them against the weight of the world is something else. Noah didn't know what the future held. Aurora didn't know how much she would have to sacrifice. But one thing was certain. Their story had only just begun. And everything was about to get much more complicated.